Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the BEAD Challenge Process office hours. We will get started in just a minute, but first I wanted to introduce myself and let you know that I'm joined here by a lot of my colleagues as well as some other experts here that will help get you through any questions you have on the BEAD Challenge process. My name is Crystal Dickerson. I'm the Communications and Marketing Manager for the NCDIT Division of Broadband and Digital Equity. We are recording the office hours today, so this will be available later. However, what we want you to do this time is a little different. Please put your questions in the chat. So go ahead and add any questions you may have in the chat. If we need any clarification, we will call on you, unmute you, and let you turn on your camera to be able to give us that information so that we can best answer your question. And without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Emily Ganji at our broadband division. She is our policy director.
Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for participating in our BEAD challenge process and joining us this afternoon to learn more and get your questions answered. Just want to remind folks that this is a challenge process for the BEAD program, which will launch project applications in 2025. And this challenge process was dictated or designed by NTIA, the National Telecommunications and Information Administration. And so there are strict guidelines that our state has to follow to administer this challenge process, which will determine which locations in our state, homes, businesses, and community anchor institutions are eligible for internet service providers to receive BEAD funding to either improve service at locations or to provide service for the first time. That's why it's so important, and we're grateful to you all for participating in the challenge process to make sure we have the most accurate data possible in North Carolina, because we want to make sure we have every unserved and underserved location identified and that we truly achieve internet for all in North Carolina, so that everyone has the benefit of high-speed internet service at their home and business and at community anchor institutions. So we've got a great panel of folks here to help answer questions that you have. They could be of a technical nature. They could be about operating within the portal that we're using, or could be policy related or related to evidence. So basically, just let us know what questions you have, and we'll all stay on to try to get answers for you.
I believe next we have some folks that are going to share their screen and show some information while we wait on questions.
Is that me, guys?
I believe so.
All right.
Thanks, Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz Carlton. I'm a consultant for the state of North Carolina. In the challenge process, I mean, if y'all are wireline providers, you might want to take a nap during this, but if you're a fixed wireless provider, we are requiring for existing service challenges and then responses to availability challenges, the use of a fixed wireless template. It's a way for the state to really understand what technology you're providing, what kind of throughput you can provide. Fixed wireless is kind of a different animal than wireline, in the fact that there's so many variabilities in both parameters and as far as coverage goes and things of that nature. So this is kind of to help the state understand what the network looks like. There are instructions on the first tab of the fixed wireless template. Basically what needs to be done per tab, and then I'll go ahead and move through each tab. The first tab is for the network, where the tower sites that you're using to cover the BSLs, what's their latitude, longitude, where are they located, the site elevation, the addresses, the type of backhaul the site has, the backhaul capacity, the structure type, if it's on a rooftop or if it's on a freestanding tower, call signs that are required, that are for FCC license, that are required for your last mile access, and if the tower is an existing or new tower. I guess I don't know if we're doing planned services, but that would be the enforceable commitment plan service type of challenges. The sectors are basically a child object of the sites. So you want to refer to your parent site and the tower site, which is your site name. And these are sectorized parameters. Antenna gain, the height above ground of that given antenna, the azimuth and within reference to true north that you're pointing the antenna. If you're using any electrical or mechanical down tilt. And then we ask that you provide an antenna pattern file and then specify the file name of that in the evidence. The power level that each sector will be operating at, and any kind of line loss, such as jumper loss from the antenna to the electronics. And then you can total all that up and you come up with what we call EIRP, which is effective isotropic radiated power, which is the power out of the antenna. We ask for operating frequency bands, such as like 365 for CBRS, 2.5 for BRS EBS. We ask for the total operating bandwidth of all channels you may be using in that sector. And then the duplexing scheme, if it's time division duplex or FDD, frequency division duplex. And most of the fixed wireless equipment I've seen recently, it's all time division duplex equipment, so it'll probably be TDD there. And then in the BSL tab, this is where each one of the BSLs that are involved in the challenge need to be listed. We have a location name, which you can use the BSL ID, its latitude and longitude, the elevation of that location above basically the ground level, any address information, the power level pointing back to the base station antenna, the distance to the serving site, the bearing to the serving site, and any losses from the CPE unit to the antenna and the CPE antenna gain, and whether this is an indoor or an outdoor installation. The signal intensity, which is received signal level for non-3GPP type deployments, and it's RSRP for 3GPP type deployments. And signal quality is basically SINR for non-3GPP deployments. It could be RSRQ. The serving sector ID, which is the ID of the sector that you've defined in the sectors tab. The downlink throughput, the maximum downlink throughput, which is basically will be derived from either the signal intensity or the signal quality, depending on how the technology you're deploying references it. And then the maximum uplink throughput. This is not the provision throughput. This is what the actual physics will allow due to RF propagation. And then we ask for those modulation tables that define basically the modulation type, the channel bandwidth, what the corresponding signal quality or signal intensity is, and the corresponding throughput. We ask for this for both the uplink and the downlink. And then on the last tab, we ask for some network assumptions, such as the maximum throughput any unit can receive, the maximum latency one would expect from the network, the average outage time, network availability, oversubscription rates, take rates for what you calculate your capacity to be, and then some questions about some of the antennas. Is it a MIMO antenna? How many ports are you using? What kind of carrier aggregation, if any, are you using? A brief description of the EMS, a description of security, and some other key parameters. And that's basically it. It's a lot of information, but it's information that the state will need to adjudicate challenges, especially for existing service and availability type challenges. And that's all I've got.
Thank you, Liz. We appreciate it. Was there another person who was going to share some data, or do we need to go straight to questions?
I believe we wanted to reserve the largest part of our time for questions and discussion.
Okay. We've gotten quite a few here in the chat. Let's see, when we go through. So the question we've received quite a few times is when I log into the challenge data, I get a blank screen with no way to click on anything. We've received that a few times, and I believe that that Keely with Ready has requested that everyone to include their name and organization information here, so she can reset passwords, which should resolve the issue once you follow some steps. Is that correct, Keely?
Yeah, so some of these folks looks like they've logged in previously possibly and just can't get back in. And for those people, Kevin and Luke being two of those, I've sent password reset emails that usually will solve the issue. Andrew, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I just resent your account setup email. Please confirm that you received that. The new link does the same thing, Kevin Brown. Okay. Kevin, I may need to troubleshoot with you further after this office hours, which I'm more than happy to do, and we can jump on a Google Meet if necessary. A couple things that you can do to troubleshoot on your own ahead of time are trying an incognito browser, clearing your cache. Looks like someone just posted a helpful link. But yeah, if you want to email nc.helpdesk@ready.net, I can monitor that help desk today for any folks who need troubleshooting help, and we can do one-on-ones until you're in. There's just a couple things we may need to try if the password reset link isn't helping or the resending of the invite isn't helping. Okay, so Andrew got in, good. Yep, thank you so much, Crystal. So yeah, happy to help troubleshoot anybody that me sending the links during this call does not help. And as I do that, I'm always, looking out and keeping track of anything that might be a bug. So, and then I pass those things along to engineers. A lot of the time it will be that the link you're trying to use has expired, but I'm not sure if this white screen is quite the same. So I'm happy to investigate further with you individual folks. Kevin, the email address that you can send for individual help is nc.helpdesk, as in North Carolina, nc.helpdesk@ready.net. Jessica, are you also having the same issue? And if so, what is your organization name, your company name?
I know Jessica's with Harvest Beam.
Thank you.
And
Jessica, so I'm assuming you are locked out also. So I'm going to send a reset account password email. If you're not, you can ignore it. Yeah, I think if we can provide the website, which I think someone did a little bit above, to bookmark, instead of trying to log in with old email links, you'll want to bookmark the portal website and log in that way. And I can provide that link if someone else doesn't have it handy. Yes, perfect. Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Looks like I need to edit this. I thought I pasted the correct thing, but it's really what Crystal put there, and I'm going to edit my comment there. I seem to have copy pasted the wrong thing. There we go. It is /challenge seems to help people get to where they're trying to go.
Yep. Yeah, I think bookmarking that is a great point to emphasize. But yeah, if any of you guys ever need a reset password link, I'm happy to always send that.
Keely, can you address the question that just came in? When adding missing CAIs, am I correct in indicating the current broadband speed is required? We're having to contact each CAI individually for this information, which has been a little tricky. If we can't get to the right person with this answer, we're asking for speed test results to determine this.
When adding missing CAIs, am I correct that indicating the current broadband speed is required? I'm going to be honest, and I don't know the answer to that question, but I can figure it out.
If I can jump in too, I think that I touch base with Dustin Loop on this, and
Thank you, yeah.
It is optional having the speed information to report the missing CAIs. However, Brian, let me know if you run into any struggle with this. I believe that the preference in the interface is to add missing CAIs by dropping a pin, and that is the method by which there's a form that comes up, and those fields for broadband speeds should have been made optional. If you see anything otherwise, contact us, because that's not intentional. That is something we could opt in or opt out of, and we opted to make those speed fields optional for the missing CAI challenge.
So Brian's saying those are currently required, but we need to make them optional. Is that what you and Dustin discussed?
Yeah, that was the intention, but it looks like a loose end that didn't get tied up, and I apologize for the confusion.
Okay, I'll make a note of that and get that shared with the engineering team on this side. Get those fixed up.
Thank you.
Of course.
And Brian, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I'm wondering if now, since we have, we've caught up on the questions, if it might be a good time to go through while more questions are coming in and show some more options from the Ready and CTC team.
Keely, we had talked to Dustin about demoing the portal and showing folks how to add users to their account, because we've had several duplicate registrations from different organizations. Are you able to do that?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Am I sharing, you guys?
Yes.
You are. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I'm currently in the regular portal. I do also have a test site that I can demonstrate from if need be, but I think this will be more useful. So just because we've had a couple questions about this morning, or this afternoon. So once you are in your portal, you all should have under organization settings a users category. Here is where you can go ahead and add teammates. instead of re-registering each time you want to have a new user. And it's pretty straightforward. You just, like I said, it's underneath the organization settings. I don't know that you guys have, I don't think you guys have nodes, but you should have users. Can you, well, please correct me if I'm mistaken, but it's pretty straightforward. You add a first name, a last name, an email, and then I believe, I don't know that you'll have a role option or if it will just default to applicant, but it should be an applicant role. And then you can click add user. Mine may look a little bit different because of admin permissions. This is the easiest way to do this. Another thing you can do is have the main user on the account or the owner of the account email the NC help desk at ready.net email and ask to have a user added there as well. And someone from the ReadyNet team can happily do that for you as well. Yeah, pretty easy. And there's no limit on the users that you can add. And then once users are added, I apologize for not knowing this, but there should be maybe a resend invite on your end visible as well that, you know, folks can do for this within the same organization for people who, you know, maybe forgot their password or, you know, just are stuck on getting in. So hopefully that answers that question. You have a challenge and a profile option. Okay. Okay. I'm going to share a different screen. Bear with me. Okay, yes, Brian, you found it. I think it's probably the view that I'm in. So let me see if there's a way that I can.
While Keely's looking, I know some folks can't see the chat for various reasons. Brian pointed out that on his dashboard in the top right corner, there's a button that says add teammate. So take a look and see if you have that button too.
That's the exact button that folks would need. What tab is that under, Brian? What tab is that under, Brian? Oh, Scott sees it too. Dashboard. Okay, so under your challenge dashboard. Oh, yes, I do have it. Apologies. Okay. I'm coming back with the sharing. Am I sharing again?
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, here it is right here. So underneath challenge, open that up, dashboard, and then you have an invite teammate button here. So, and it's the same setup, first name, last name, email, invite teammate. It will automatically give the correct permissions. So you don't need to worry about that. So, and this is the same as the other I was showing. You can add as many teammates as you'd like. There's no limit. It looks like if the teammate that you add does need a password reset, you can go ahead and reach out to the ready.net team via the NC help desk at ready.net email, and we can send that for you guys. Kenneth, what is your organization's name?
Think Kenneth is with River Street. Yep.
I'm still sharing, I think.
You are.
Ken, I just sent you a reset password email, so follow the steps there and hopefully that will correct what you're seeing, and then you can go ahead and bookmark this URL for future login. Okay, I apologize. I think maybe I interrupted somebody when asking a question a little ways up. About dropping a pin, or yeah. Is that a question for me, or is someone else able to answer that? Multi-tenant building, and I'm submitting BEAD.
Oh, I was typing an answer in the chat, but I also am more than happy to defer to anyone who's got more hands-on experience with the Ready interface. But in North Carolina, we opted into multiple identity ability for each BSL. So if you are looking at a BSL and you can't tell if it's a CAI or if one of the uses of that building is CAI, you should be able to select it in the interface and then see some expandable lists on the left-hand side. If it is categorized as a CAI in one way or a business in another way, if that makes sense. But also it might work a little differently if our CAI inventory identified the CAI, but didn't correctly link it to the location ID that would have been its representation in the fabric. So in that case, it's not exactly the same point. And the bottom line is best practice would be to link it to that existing location ID. But if you drop a pin, then it's just an extra challenge and it might get denied if we find out it was redundant with the data that's already in there. But I think the input will still be effective. And also, Brian, if you see anything working differently than expected on that while we're on the call, let's go ahead and address it so we can, kind of forward the question on or get something addressed if it's, not being user-friendly in this way.
And Keely, I think this is a technical question for Ready. This individual, is associated with two entities and needs to submit planned or existing service and enforceable commitments challenges for both entities. So how can the user determine which entity they're logged in under?
Yes. I'm hesitating now because I'm worried that my view is not the same as what these folks have. So apologies for that. There's a couple. So Steve, my first question is to you. Do you have a drop down arrow at the, and I'm not sharing right now. Let me reshare. Okay. Do you have a drop down arrow in the upper left hand corner here? Because on my end, if you click that, you can switch between different organizations that your email address is tied to. If not, and you guys, the applicants are telling me that they only have dashboard and challenge map. Is that correct? I believe it is.
Yes.
If you don't have this drop down arrow here, my suggestion would probably be to open 2 different tabs and have one logged in as one business entity and one as the other. I will see if there is a different and better way to know that. I don't know if that was helpful enough.
Steve said yes, that's the answer. Thanks.
Oh, he did.
Steve, if your question's not resolved, let us know.
That you had I'm assuming he means he had this little drop down arrow, which would be ideal.
Crystal, should we unmute Keith?
Sure. Absolutely.
Great. Excellent, Steve. I love to hear that.
I'm sorry, Steve. I said Steve instead of Keith. Okay, Steve got the answer he needed.
Excellent. Organization settings, I think that's to be expected. Organization settings, I believe, might be admin only. Excellent. Excellent. I love that.
I think we're caught up in the chat.
I think so too.
Keely, the other thing we had asked Dustin to be prepared to demo was for organizations that are nonprofit organizations or local or tribal governments who will be submitting challenges on behalf of residents. If you could pull up the consumer input data that they'll have access to and show them how they can access that data and create challenges on behalf of residents.
Yes. Let me think for one moment.
While Keely's thinking, for the sake of others on the call, her colleague Dustin had prepared to be with us today, but had an emergency come up today. And so Keely
Yes,
graciously stepped in for him.
I know how to do what you're asking, but normally there are preloaded challenges from individuals or consumers loaded into the test portal already, and those are not here. Let me send Dustin a quick message.
And also we have another set of office hours, so certainly we can make sure and demo that next time as well.
Okay, excellent. And again, yes, I apologize for not being prepared for that.
Quite okay. We appreciate you joining us at the last minute.
Chris, it looks
Do
like
we have-
Brian's got another suggestion / question.
Okay.
Yeah,
It would be
do we have the ability for attendees to share screen, or is there something blocking that, or somebody who can share their screen?
I am not sure attendees can share their screen, but if you give me 1 second, I can see if that can work.
Do you see
Or
that
maybe
option?
just unmute Brian, and if
That I
if
can
you
do for certain.
Yeah.
Brian Rathbone, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Brian, I'm going to just make you a presenter real quick so that you can join and speak.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Sorry to be a pain.
You're not a
Not
pain.
at
That's
all.
what this
No,
hour
this
is
is helpful.
for.
Yeah, very helpful for
So
others too, probably.
I pasted in the chat the specific CAI that I'm trying to challenge. This was sent to us by the High Country Council of Governments. It is the Meditation and Restorative Justice Center, and they got money for devices and hotspots. So they're going to be doing device access and hotspots across Avery, Mitchell, and Yancey counties. And so when I went in and created a new pin for it, I saw a gray circle where I had clicked to put the pin. But if I went back in and searched for the address and did challenging the classification of an existing CAI, I don't see the gray circle to select to get the lats and longs to populate. So I was just a little confused, and if maybe we could walk through it on one of your screens, that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think it would. But Keely, is that something that you have the capability to do in this call? Because I know I've been logging in and it just keeps going to challenge review screens. I'm not able to log in as a user submitting a challenge.
Yes, I am the same as you, unfortunately, Stephanie. So we can get.
Okay.
It looks like I can share. Do you want me to just
Yeah,
share mine?
Oh,
Crystal gave
that would
Brian
be great.
permission to share.
yes, that would be great, Brian.
Yes.
Okay. So let me just start over. So I'm going to go to add the challenge. And at this point, I'm going to do a community anchor institution challenge. Now, this is where my most recently, where I'm saying this is an anchor institution that I don't think currently in the data. So previously I tried missing, but let me try it with just so I know what's the best way for me to understand whether I'm challenging its classification or that it's missing. Am I specifically looking for that address in the CSV?
I would, or the location ID if you have that handy. And because it could be in the CAI inventory, but not be linked to the location ID. And if it's not, we wouldn't really know and have that lined up exactly. Okay.
We'll do some cross-referencing on our side to determine that. But if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and proceed with this, and I can show you what I'm seeing that was a little tricky. So if I say it is an anchor institution, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but if I'm answering your question, in the scenario where you've got suite B and there's like suite A and C, and you see that suite A and C are a dot in the map, that is, not CAI, but you want to add the CAI. you would use that missing CAI if you don't see it listed as a copy of that BSL when you go to it.
I think that's the case. So I'm going to
Okay,
answer
yeah.
this question, and you can help me understand if I've got this right. So don't have the date, official name of it I can get real quick. This is the mediation, and so this is the name of it. The explanation is, so my explanation for this
Nonprofit.
is, pardon?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brian.
No, go ahead.
That confused me a lot too, but the only thing NTIA is looking for under explanation is the subcategory of community support organization. So I think for this one, you would just be, all you'd have to do is put nonprofit.
Got it. And then in our category here, I was going with community support organization.
Yes, and I may have misanswered your question just now. That subcategory, that's what goes in the explanation field for the NTIA. Item 2, the explanation for the challenge, that's all you. Sorry, and you're able
No
to be
I was going to put
more
in there
descriptive.
that they got device access and hotspots. Is that appropriate for this field?
I think that makes a good case.
Okay. And this one's where I could put in nonprofit, where please specify the subcategory. There's no drop down
Yes.
subcategory, which I kind of would have expected.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be nice, but I guess because it's different in every state, it might be like more of a customization for us. We can ask for that though and see.
It's just something I'm pointing out that I wouldn't have known what the list of possible values are for that field.
Right. I wouldn't have either had I not written the initial proposal.
So really just going back to IPv1 and looking at the list of possible organization types and picking from that is the correct way to do it in the absence of a drop down.
Yes, please.
Okay, that's perfect.
Sorry, that's
And
not more clear. I'm taking notes on that.
Sounds good. And so I mentioned these two are optional in this form, so I should be able to go ahead and move on without putting in the current speed. And so when I get to this part, I'm going and I'm getting the address. I'm going to paste the address into the search. And so this is the location. Yeah, this is what I saw when I looked before. There's actually no gray pin for this building.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Because I actually don't know how to click on it to select it to say this is it. So that makes me think I really did need to do a missing location here.
Yes,
So
if there's no dot there.
Oh, sorry. I used the
Go ahead.
map where you can filter by CAIs that's on the main challenge homepage where you register, and it showed that this address is a CAI.
So what I really should have done was, if I go back to here in a new window, hold on a second. So let me just make sure that this is where I made my mistake then. What I should have done was come in here, go onto the challenge map, searched for the address in the challenge map. Oh, did I put the wrong thing in here? This was supposed to be
133 North Water Street.
Boom. Okay, so now I see this here, and when I click on it, says multi-address community support org. So community support org is CAI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That makes sense. So technically, that one wasn't missing. The location's not missing, even if this specific organization was not in the CAI list. So do you want me, since this CAI was not in the list to my knowledge, I don't think either of these points that I saw are indicative of that organization. Well, here, let's see. Any support
There's
org.
community corrections. So yes, you can still add this as a missing CAI. It won't change the eligibility of that BSL, but I believe there's going to be a way for us to ingest that on the back end for our kind of like state level purposes.
That makes sense. So based on what you just said, you would prefer for me to go and add the community anchor institution as missing and drop my own point by going here, putting that in. Now when I come and look, I can basically click in here and do add to challenge, at which point I've got my latitude and longitude. I'm going to drop the street address in here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Boone. And drop in the zip code. And I'm really sorry to dominate. If anybody else has a question and wants me to just shut up, I can email this stuff.
You're doing fine.
So the reason for the challenge is the definition believes this location satisfies a definition or new CAI. I think this is a new one.
Yeah. So our reviewers would see that it's a different CAI than the CAI that is already recorded there. And yet you're not saying that the CAI already recorded there is not correct. You know what I mean? It's separate from challenging the existing one. You're saying that there's an additional CAI here. And this is the same process that we would recommend if you search the address in the main challenge site and saw that there was a business or residence recorded for that building, but it didn't, it was lacking maybe an additional business or additional a CAI unit.
And so this is where I show these two fields are mandatory in this form.
Yeah, and apologies because we intended to have those changed to optional.
And for right now, I'm going to put 00 in it. I should be able to come back and modify it because I actually asked the COG to contact all the CAIs and ask them about their current service level, so I can just fill this out. But for the moment, I don't have it, and I should be able to come back in and edit this, correct?
That I don't know because we start reviewing it, and I'm not sure what the mechanism is for capturing changes that are made after submission. Can anyone
I may submit a duplicate if that's all right. I figured for the purpose of us doing this, it might be good for me to go ahead and complete this and make sure I got all the questions answered. Is that okay?
Sure.
Great. All right. So the evidence documentation. So for this missing location, is there anything I actually need to put here, or do I have to have a picture or something? And forgive me, I don't have the instructions in front of me of the evidence.
Right. This is actually a question that had come up in an internal call we had this week because I saw that there weren't any examples listed in the interface for evidence here on this challenge type. And we may be able to get those listed there. And otherwise, it's like, okay, refer back to the initial proposal document.
Yeah,
and
it
the
is
user
a little
guide.
So that would be helpful. But based on your understanding, what evidence do I need to submit for a missing CAI? If is it something I could quickly generate and drop in here, or should I just fake it?
I would, now I'm almost as new at this as everyone else on the call, right? This is a new process for North Carolina, but our consultants have been helping other states. And I see Liz coming on camera because I believe she can answer this question. And I'm thinking that maybe a screen capture of the Google Maps search of this location that shows what it is.
A
like
screen
a simple
capture of that, and possibly a website link that has the address on it, and something that's showing that it's a qualified CAI according to North Carolina's IPv1. I think there's a list of. I think you guys have a list of qualified CAIs somewhere either on the website or in the IPv1 document, but it needs to be one of those that are listed on there.
Those categories, right?
Right. And make sure the address is the same as the address the address needs to match the address that you're putting in the portal. And if they don't match, we'll certainly ask for a revision request.
And the one thing I'll ask on that is the only thing that'll be different is that it'll include a suite number. Is that acceptable?
That's fine.
Okay. I'm going to have to figure out, on this particular one, I'm being notified from the COG that they got, devices and, hotspots. I don't know if it's on their website or if it's something that I can find online to kind of prove, hey, this is why this is a CAI. How urgent is it that I have something like that?
If it's the type of a location that is in North Carolina's guidance, then we don't need to justify the number of hotspots or anything like that. It either is or it isn't. Kind of. I mean, if it's a hospital, it either is or it isn't a hospital. Or if it's a library or whatever, the connectivity to the building is inconsequential for this type of challenge.
Okay, that makes sense to me. So I'll put together that, submit this, and I'll let you guys know if I have any trouble. Thank you for letting me share my screen and walk through that. That was very helpful.
Thanks for doing that. Other folks may have had the same question.
Liz, can you also answer Brian about if he can edit a challenge once it's been submitted?
You can. The best way to do that, we may come back to you with revision requests, but if you've messed up something, is to withdraw it and submit a new challenge.
Okay. Thank you.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that'll trigger notifications.
That'll trigger an immediate notification. That way we're not reviewing evidence that we're requesting and then requesting additional evidence, and it's just cleaner that way.
Okay, that's good. I'll wait until I have the bandwidth information on these locations before submitting it. And if for some reason they can't get it to me, I'll put it in as zeros.
Yeah, I mean, I think we discussed that before. It was a bug in the portal because these are locations that are just CAI. It's not qualifying. These are not qualifying broadband challenges.
Correct.
Yeah, then we don't. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that we don't need the bandwidth information because that should be inconsequential. So zeros would be fine, or whatever, I guess, until the interface can get fixed.
Thanks, Liz. That's very helpful.
And have we caught up on other questions?
I think so. And I was going to call on Liz again. I thought it might be helpful if Liz would speak to the fact that as we review challenges, we may contact folks and request additional evidence or revisions. Liz, can you say a bit about that process and how it works?
Yes. As we go through the list and review challenges, the state may contact you with additional questions. These are revision requests. They all need to be, I believe we agreed, Emily, that October 8th is the drop dead date. at I forgot what time we were at some point. I think 11:59 or something like that on October 8th.
Yeah.
These are not to. We're not picking on you. We're just needing clarification, and sometimes we have issues if we have like an availability challenge. If the evidence is in OCR and we can't search it, we'll probably pop it back to you. Or if we need if we're having address matching issues or something like that, it could be for a ton of different discrepancies that we may have. But getting those back timely by October 8th is important, because we may not accept a challenge at that point if we don't receive it by then.
And
so
to be
when you
clear,
get a revision request, you can send as many as the portal closes on, I believe it's October 2nd or 3rd.
Third, the challenge window. Yeah.
You can go back and forth with as many revision requests as needed before that. But once the portal closes, you've got basically you've got that one revision request. So
thank you,
so
Liz.
get them in early.
Yeah.
Put your challenges in early.
We've got 1 minute left, so this is last call. Any last questions you want to share before we adjourn today?
I will also make one quick announcement until we see any or hear any questions. There are date stamps on our downloadable data sets from our website BEAD challenge page. And I ran into one contact at an internet service provider that had some confusion because they downloaded these straight away on August 28th, and then they were revised with full deduplication on August 30th. So I would just recommend if anyone on the call had downloaded the unserved and underserved CSV files like the moment they came available, there was a disclaimer on our webpage about how they weren't fully deduplicated yet, and then we updated them shortly thereafter with full deduplication on August 30th. So just in case that applies to any of you, visit back our BEAD Challenge webpage, which I'll put the link to in the chat, and check those date stamps. Make sure that the data you have is the newest data that's on our webpage. And sorry about that. Here comes that link.
Emily, you're still muted.
Sorry, I thought I clicked it. Somebody had to be the one. I also dropped a link. We're going to host another office hour next week on October 1st at 2:00. So I put the link in the chat if you want to register to join us for that one as well. And we can put the email addresses in again for the help desk, NC helpdesk at ready.net. And you can also reach out to us at bead@nc.gov as well. I want to thank you again for participating in this challenge process. I know it's very complicated, but we really have tried to simplify the process as designed by NTIA as best we can. And it is really important to us that we have your input, and we are grateful to you for submitting challenges on behalf of your organizations and for residents and businesses and community anchor institutions in our state. So thanks for being part of this process with us.
Thanks, you all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.